In this video, we're going to discuss Article 110.14a, which is about terminals. This section of the National Electrical Code focuses on the proper connection of wires to terminals, or the parts that make electrical connections in electrical systems. Let's break this article down in simple terms. First, let's talk about why this rule exists in the first place. The goal of this rule is to ensure that electrical connections are secure, reliable, and safe. A bad or loose connection could cause electricity to not flow properly, create excessive heat, or even lead to fires. Also, certain types of wires, like aluminum, are more prone to problems if they're not connected correctly, so extra care is needed. Now let's move on to what this rule covers. First, it's good, secure connections. When you're connecting a wire to a terminal, like a part of a switch or an outlet that holds the wire, it must be done in a way that ensures a strong, solid connection. This is important to make sure that current can flow safely without any interruption or excessive heat. The connection should also not damage the wire. The pressure connectors mentioned are types of connectors that securely hold the wire in place by tightening around it, like a screw that presses the wire into place. Other methods, like solder logs, a small part that you can solder the wire to, and splices to flexible leads connecting two wires together in a secure way are also acceptable. Allowed methods for small wires, small meaning 10 American wire gauge or smaller. For small wires, you can use a method where the wire is held in place by wire binding screws, struts, or knots with upturned lugs. This is a more basic method but is still safe and effective for small wires that don't carry a lot of current. Special care for connecting multiple wires or aluminum wires. First, let's discuss multiple wires to one terminal. If you're connecting more than one wire to a terminal, like when multiple wires need to be joined at the same point, the terminal must be designed for this purpose. You can't just jam a bunch of wires into a connector that is not built for it. Next, let's talk about aluminum wires. Aluminum wires behave differently than copper wires, so the terminal used must be specifically identified and rated for use with aluminum wires. This is because aluminum is more prone to expansion and contraction and with heat, and if it can corrode more easily than copper if not handled correctly. Let's discuss an example. Imagine you are wiring a light switch. You have a copper wire and an aluminum wire that need to be connected to the switch terminals. For the copper wire, you can safely use the pressure connector, like a set-in screw type connector that will hold the copper wire securely without damaging it. For the aluminum wire needs special care. You don't just use any connector, so you should use a connector that is specifically marked as suitable for aluminum wires to ensure it doesn't corrode or create a loose connection. If you are connecting two wires to the same terminal, the terminal must be designed for multiple wires. If it isn't, the connection could be weak or dangerous. So in simple terms, Article 110.14a is about making sure electrical connections are done securely and safely. You need to use the right tools and connectors for the job, especially when dealing with aluminum wires or multiple wires at once. The connection should be strong, not damage the wire, and be done using the correct type of connector to avoid issues like overheating and corrosion.